All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for is finally here. Spider-Man No Way Home, the December update, sneak peek number 1, and the Marvel Future Fight dev team is actually mixing things up on us. Yes, for the first time in, I think, ever in the history of this game, we're actually getting a full update in December. Not sure if that's because this update has been highly anticipated for quite some time and they're planning to cash in, I guess, an extraordinary fashion, especially since the Q3 revenue didn't look so hot for Marvel Future Fight. I'm not sure if that's the reason why, or if they're just trying to make fans happy, because I've been streaming a lot recently and every single time I throw up a live stream, there's at least 5 or 10 people in the chat asking when are we going to get the Spider-Man No Way Home update, because it seems like we were well overdue for some sneak peeks by now. And I was under the assumption that just like previous years, we were only going to get a bunch of events in December and then we're going to see some seasonal uniforms return, in addition to some new ones that were data mined or leaked or what have you. And that might still be the case. We might still get a bunch of events. We might still see the seasonal uniforms, but new ones anyways. We know for a fact that White Fox is going to come back. Groot is going to come back. Lady Deadpool, Holiday Lady Deadpool, and Gwenpool are going to come back. We know that for a fact. But in addition to that, the Spider-Man No Way Home update is actually happening in 2021. I was under the assumption that this was going to be the first update of 2022 just because of the history of the game. However, luckily for us, we do not have to wait. So with the movie dropping on Friday, possibly earlier depending on where you guys live in the world, we only need to wait a couple additional days, and next week Wednesday we'll be able to play with our favorite web slinging hero, hopefully stronger than ever. So right here, we have a message from CM Fragment. It goes, "Agents, the web-swinging superhero has come to Marvel Future Fight with new looks." Interesting. The web-swinging superhero has come to Marvel Future Fight with new looks. Not with a new look, but with new looks. So, just like Far From Home, which brought us 2 uniforms for Spider-Man, you can expect at least 2 new uniforms, synergy uniforms. Frankly, we might see 3 uniforms for Spider-Man. Now, I know that might scare you guys. You might think, whoa, 3 uniforms for Spider-Man, 1,000 crystals apiece, that's 3,000 crystals. What are these guys thinking? Hold on, I have, I think, a solution to the whole 3 uniform thing, but I do want to point out that since Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are rumored to be a part of the movie, in addition to now the MCU's Spider-Man Tom Holland, that's 3 Spider-Men with 3 different uniforms. Possibly 3 different uniforms coming to the game. Okay? So prepare yourself, save your crystals. A lot of you guys didn't really rock with the Eternals, so you skipped over them. You probably only picked up maybe Makari. So you might have some crystals left over. Anyways, will this superhero be able to face the challenges coming his way? Stay tuned for these looks inspired by Spider-Man No Way Home. And do keep in mind that there's a lot of villains in this movie and a lot of them are already in the game. Electro, Sandman, Rhino, I think I seen in there, right? Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus. That's already like 5, right? A lot of them are already in the game, which means they're going to get uniforms in the main update, the V770, and then there's going to be a mid-month patch that brings even more uniforms. So, spend your crystals wisely if you're spending them now, or don't spend them at all, and save everything for Spider-Man and the Rogue Gallery. That's my opinion. Let's take a look at the trailer here, because at least one of his new uniforms is in this trailer. Now that was pretty cool. We get to see Doctor Strange performing the spell which is supposed to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And by the way, in addition to Spider-Man getting 3 uniforms possibly, and all of the villains, Doctor Strange is in this movie. Doctor Strange is very, very popular. Doctor Strange has a new look without the cape. So he should ideally be getting a uniform as well. Doing some quick math, that's over 10,000 crystals. Plus, this is an MCU movie. Sure, we didn't get a legendary battle for the Eternals, but they skipped one because it was an epic quest. I am willing to bet that there is going to be a legendary battle for Spider-Man's movie. So, a lot of crystals you're going to need to have on hand. We didn't get too much of a look on Doctor Strange's uniform. I'm guessing they're trying to save that for sneak peek number 2 or 3. But we did see a couple uniforms flash on screen here for Spider-Man. A couple of them look like uniforms that already exist, and I'll show you guys, but one of them is definitely a new uniform. All of them could very well be slight alterations to uniforms that already exist, because Spider-Man already has, I believe, 7 uniforms in Marvel Future Fight. I'll show you guys in a second. So they could take some of the ones that already exist and alter the appearance slightly and make that a new uniform. For example, let's go back here to the very beginning of the clip. If we take a look at this uniform right here at the very beginning of the clip, where you have Spider-Man and you have the web wings, if you will, this is Spider-Man's all new, all different uniform. And this is already in Marvel Future Fight. Now, if you don't believe me, you can simply open up Marvel Future Fight and you can take a close look at Spider-Man, and you can see from the all new, all different uniform, this is the only one of his uniforms that actually have those web wings under his arm extending from his body. So this is definitely the uniform from the trailer. Like I said earlier, they might be tweaking the uniform, keeping this look, if you will, but giving it like more new powers and then selling that as a new uniform. Or this uniform might just have been chosen to put in the trailer to show off different looks for Spider-Man that's already in the game, to kind of confuse people, right? Moving on. The other uniform that I think I saw in this trailer is actually the Iron Spider, one of I believe one of his more iconic uniforms. Everyone kind of loves this uniform. But if you take a closer look at his body, you can kind of see where this uniform looks a little bit different than the Iron Spider from Infinity War, where the spider on his chest is actually filled in with this silver / metallic spider, versus whereas in Marvel Future Fight, the spider is actually not filled in. So, and then the arm gauntlets actually look a little bit different too. So they might just be tweaking how these uniforms look, because at this point, Spider-Man has so many different uniforms and his color schemes are generally very, very similar. So I guess they're just basically changing the appearance of some of the other uniforms and then making new uniforms for Spider-Man. So looking at it that way, yeah, I'm thinking we're getting at least 2 uniforms from this trailer. It could be 3, right? Like I said, they could be taking this one. But one thing I know for sure is that this uniform right here is most definitely a new uniform. It might give you the Night Monkey vibe because it's a black suit, but this uniform clearly looks different because it doesn't have the spider webs going across it, and this thing actually has him wearing, I guess, like a ski mask and goggles, because it was just like a thing that he made on the fly. So this is definitely the new black and gold suit that we've seen in the trailer. So this one right here, and they have Hot Toys already coming out with this one with the red gauntlet, black and gold. And then there's even another poster where his eyes change to red, which would be really cool if they made it so that, I don't know, he activated some insta kill mode, or maybe when he activates one of his abilities, his eyes change to red as well. That would be kind of cool. Like how I believe in, I believe it was No Way Home, when he got his suit from Tony, there was like this insta kill mode that activated by accident, and then he was just going off with it. So maybe they could do something cool like that with one of his suits. But there's also this suit right here with a symbol on his chest, which looks like it was created by magic. Even his armbands kind of looks like he's using magic based webs. So that's kind of pretty cool. However, aesthetics aside, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room. This is Spider-Man's 7th time getting a uniform. This is Spider-Man's 7th time getting a uniform. And right? This man has so many uniforms in the game. There's very few characters that have more uniforms than him, and there's only ever been one point when he was meta, and it was actually this uniform right here, which means he got 3 other uniforms after this one, and they didn't really do anything for the character. So even though it's really cool to see Spider-Man get yet another movie, I know that I would be very disappointed if they did not use this opportunity to capitalize on this character as much as possible by making him a staple. I want to ask you guys, what are you hoping for from a new uniform or new uniforms for Spider-Man? What do you guys want him to be good for? ABX, PvP, World Boss Legend, Squad Battle? What is it that you guys want the most out of Spider-Man? Please let me know in the comment section, because I know what I want. I would like him to do insane amount of damage where he can keep up with the top tier characters in the game. Captain America, for example, just got an amazing uniform that's going to make him relevant for at least a year and a half, 2 years, right? I don't think he needs another uniform for a good while. I would like Spider-Man to get to a place where after a month, people don't just put him back on the shelf and be like, okay, when is the next Spider-Man uniform? Kind of like how they treated Wolverine for the longest time. Thankfully, he got some type of justice where he's ABX meta now, or if you don't care about ABX, you can use him in PvP. So I'm really hoping for something really spectacular for Spider-Man, and the game isn't as like popular as it once was. And in my opinion, Spider-Man is the most popular superhero of all time, regardless of whether you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan. So if there was ever going to be a character that would bring a lot of new players to the game, it would be Spider-Man. And making him as good as possible would make it so that all the people making content on the game would pump out a bunch of videos that could possibly catch some eyes of people who would otherwise not be interested in this game. So I'm saying all this to hopefully convince the Future Fight team, if they're thinking about, I don't know, shafting or not putting as much love as possible into Spider-Man, that they would please reconsider, because there's lots of ways they can go about making Spider-Man great. They could literally just do what they did for Loki, where Loki doesn't really have any meta type abilities per se, but he's just abnormally strong because he's damaged for no reason. There's no accumulation, there's no super crit damage, there's only like guaranteed crit and what I believe a little bit of chain hit damage and stuff, right? He has ignore dodge, chain hit damage, and a guaranteed crit from his passive and some energy attack. That's it, right? I know that's a lot, but that's nothing compared to some of the other characters in the game that have like 6 attack buffs and then freaking damage accumulation on top. And then, for example, like Rogue, and I was gonna say Sabretooth, but he's not really relevant, but like Rogue, who has super crit damage, stuff like this. There's so many ways they can go about buffing Spider-Man. I'm gonna list a couple here and you guys can let me know. I want him to at least be as strong as Silk. Now I understand Silk's uniform costs money. It's a uniform that is, I would say, exclusive, right? However, it would be nice if Spider-Man could be as strong as Silk. I know he's free to play, but to be honest, the majority of the OP characters in the game are free to play already. But I guess because Spider-Man is one of those characters that's easier to get, him being really strong, people might be, I don't know, upset about it. I don't know why people would be upset about it. People upset about stupid things for no reason all the time. But point is, you look at Spider-Man and his kit, even on his best uniforms, it's nothing spectacular, right? They got to give him, I don't know, some guaranteed crit and some ignore dodge like they did for Loki. One major thing they absolutely have to do this time around with Spider-Man is give him a way to heal. None of Spider-Man's uniforms have ever given him a way to heal. And that's a big thing. If he doesn't get a heal this time around, the uniform is going to be like dead. Like dead on arrival, kind of like how Athena was dead, even though she had great damage, because her survivability was not that great. Because here's the thing, even if you have damage immunity, invincibility, and iframes, even if you have a ton of dodge, there's always a way for you to take damage. There's a counter for everything in the game, right? And that's fine, because there needs to be a way to counter everything. That's how you create balance. However, if he doesn't get any way to heal this time around, I'm gonna be very, very upset. Right? If you look at his best uniform, he doesn't even have damage immunity. It's just crazy. He has no damage immunity. He doesn't even have penetration or anything. He has invincibility, I believe. Actually, he gets penetration on his tier 3 for 6 seconds. That's kind of yikes, right? He doesn't even have invincibility on his tier 3. That's yikes, bro. His tier 3 buff is like his best buff. But if you take a look at some of the other characters, look at Silk. Look at Silk, guys. Third skill, 45%, 30%. You take a look at her fourth skill, it buffs her attacks, 2 attacks, 30%. And then look at her fifth skill. She heals for 25%. She penetrates. She has another attack buff. Then she has, what is this? 45% guaranteed crit plus 40% attack buff again for 10 seconds, 12-second cooldown. It's when she uses a web skill, so it's pretty much every time at the beginning of your rotation with a 2-second cooldown in between, right? She's so freaking strong. Guaranteed dodge, damage reduction, right? And then she has a strong awaken skill as well. And then her uniform bonus is actually pretty good as well. Chain hit damage and ignore dodge. Like, listen, Spider-Man is the most iconic web slinger. I love Silk, but he needs to be up there with her. If she's the epitome of how strong a spider can be in the game, Spider-Man needs to be equal to or greater than that. That's my opinion. So they got to consider giving him the same type of treatment that they gave to Silk to take her from literally being one of the worst awakened characters in the game to a character that can now clear stage 40 null. Yeah, right? They need to do that for Spider-Man. Also, I know this one is not necessarily a part of this update, but it would be really cool if Ben Reilly got an awakened skill. I know it's kind of random. He has nothing to do with the movie, but with all the teams that you can build for World Boss Legend, you know, the Eternals team with Icarus, Cersei, and Makari. And then we also have the Fantastic Four team with Reed, Torch, and Thing. It would be really cool if Ben Reilly got an awakened skill, because then he would become a support character. If Spider-Man becomes a top tier DPS, that would be amazing. And then I know this one is kind of locked behind a paywall, but at least then there would be a purpose for this character because her damage is not that great. We could have a great leadership for Spider-Man that gives him attack and debuff removal. We could have a support for Spider-Man in Ben Reilly, and then Spider-Man could be a top tier DPS like Silk. That would be really cool. Please guys, let me know what you would like Spider-Man to be good for. Let me know what kind of abilities you would like him to have. It would be cool if he didn't get something generic like, I don't know, damage accumulation 1%, but hey, I'll take it if it makes him strong. But they could definitely do something unique like they did for Silk and Loki, where they just gave him a ton of buffs, and those buffs made up for not having damage accumulation in their kit. Now, the final thing I want to end this video off with is the potential of Spider-Man getting 2 to 3 uniforms. Right away, some of you guys are going to be upset about that because that's 3,000 plus crystals if he gets 3 uniforms. The way how they can do this, in my opinion, a good way they could do it is they could do what they usually do and sell 2 uniforms, and one of them, after you buy the first one, it becomes cheaper and it's a synergy uniform. And then the third uniform, they could actually make it so that it's a part of the uniform collection, similar to what they did for Deadpool's uniform, where once you completed this set right here, the Dawn of X, you were actually able to pick up the white suit for Deadpool. So that's my opinion in regards to how they could bring in the third uniform, because selling all 3 for crystals, that would be a bit too much. Also, they could easily make it so that even though he's getting 3 uniforms, unlike with the stealth suit, aka the night monkey suit, and the far from home regular suit, where they were completely different per se, they were doing different things, where this one was more like stealth based, it had different abilities. They could make it so that it's just a visual thing and all the effects are the exact same across the 3 uniforms. That would make it so that only the super whales would need to buy all 3 uniforms to complete their collection, and then a regular player would just pick up the one that they want or like the most. So we're gonna wrap it up right here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited for Spider-Man, and what would you like him to be good for? Hopefully this time around he is top tier for at least 12 months, because I can't deal with another bad uniform for Spider-Man. It's too much, man. It really is too much.